A woman reaches a certain age when someone says to her, or her inner critic says, at your age, you wouldn't, you shouldn't, you can't do that. Well, here on A Certain Age, we celebrate those women who will, who can, and who do amazing things. And today's guest, oh, she does. She does. Today we're having Cindy Ashton. Cindy is featured in Inc. magazine, Investment News, ABC, CBS, Fox TV, NBC, and Forbes. She hosts an award-winning international TV show, Cindy Uncorked, on E360 TV, and she has appeared on over 186 million screens worldwide. She's also the CEO of Minerva Enterprises, and she's been awarded for her service by both the former U.S. President and by Queen Elizabeth II. But she was born to die. Welcome, Cindy Ashton.
Hi, Lee. It's so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
And being that I'm reading this saying she was born to die, I'm so glad you made it today.
I know.
Can we just start there?
I'm still breathing.
You're still breathing, thank God.
I know. Doctor saved my life multiple times.
So tell me about this. Tell me a little bit about your history, because every now and then I hear somebody say, oh, I have this ache, this pain, I can't, I have a problem. Honey, you got problems.
Okay.
Tell me about your history.
Yeah, so, you know, as I was a fetus swimming in my mom's belly, I was literally like, swimming, swimming, jazz hands. As a fetus, I knew that I was going to come out and I was born to be a performer. But then I popped out early because I was super anxious to get on with it. And my body had an entire different game plan for me. So I was born with 20% chance of living, and the entire left side of my body was structurally damaged. So I literally had casts on my legs as a toddler in hopes that my legs would be able to grow out and that I would be able to walk. And I had to have speech therapy to be able to learn how to speak, let alone go on to sing. But the big piece was the heart failure. And so I had my first heart surgery at 11 days old. They saved my life. They said, great job. We saved her life. Enjoy your child, because she will be dead by the time she's a teenager. I'm sure that the doctors were a little nicer than that. But my prognosis was not good. They never expected me to live past my teens. And so I had another heart surgery at age 5 and another one at 14. And at 14, they said, well, she'll be on medication for life. We're going to need a 4th surgery. She shouldn't do anything more than walk in terms of activity. And so I've been medication free now for almost 30 years. And we'll find out through this interview what else I've done. But I still haven't had a 4th surgery. I'm defying the odds. And it's fun.
So how much time did you spend in the hospital? You told me a little bit that you spent a lot of time there as a child.
Yeah, so I was in and out of the hospital a lot. And then I probably missed about, on any given school year, I missed about 1/4 to 1/3 of my education in terms of not necessarily being in a hospital, but I was always so sick all the time and medicated and just home a lot or in the hospital. So I missed the majority of my childhood.
Oh my goodness! But you had a friend in the hospital.
I did have a friend.
Yeah. Tell me about her.
13. I was going in for my 3rd heart surgery, and they put me in this room with this girl named Stephanie. And it was awesome because Stephanie was 16 and she was like me. She was born with heart failure. She had had multiple surgeries. They didn't think she would live past her teens. And I still remember us making a pact. We made a pact, we made a bond, and we decided that we were going to beat this thing together, and she was going to go on and be the greatest heart surgeon in the world, and I was going to move on and be the greatest performer in the world. And we made that pact, and then I got bumped and released for a couple of months, and I came back to the hospital, and I was so excited because I had a friend and we had a pact and we were going to do this together. And I kept asking the nurses, where's Stephanie? Because here's the deal, Hospital of Sick Children, which is in Toronto, where I was born and raised, the nurses kind of knew me and knew Stephanie and all of us regulars. You never want to be a regular at a hospital. And they also knew me because I used to do wheelchair races, which is very annoying to the nurses, I'm sure, but it was fun for the patients, just saying. And so I was like, where's Stephanie? Where's Stephanie? And they were pretending like they didn't know her. And I was really confused. I don't know why nobody was telling me what was going on with Stephanie. And finally, one nurse pulled me aside and she told me that Stephanie didn't make it.
Oh my God.
And in that moment, two things happened. Part of me felt so guilty and ashamed and could not understand why she was taken and why I'm still here. And the other part of me was just felt like, oh my God, I have to live my dreams now for two people. I have to live her legacy. And I even wrote a song about her 2 years ago, and I've been trying for years, on and off to try to find her parents, because I've had like so many people, I've had so many dark moments in my life. And in my worst moments, I think about Stephanie and how I got to live. We had the same problems with our heart. I got to live and she didn't. I don't have a choice. I mean, if I'm still breathing, I have to continue on no matter what, because as long as I'm breathing, I'm not done on this planet. And as long as anybody is breathing, we're not done on that planet, on this planet, and we have to live our lives and we have to keep going. And so there's a lot of those moments in my life where she has literally saved my life, because I know that I'm living for both of us.
Oh my goodness. And you said you're trying to find her parents?
I've tried several times to go to hospital sick children, and I've asked them to look in the records to see, and I said I was in the hospital, it was March 21st of this year, and she was 16, and she was blonde, and her name was Stephanie, and I was this, and she was driving from Brantford, Ontario, and they just said that we don't have those level of hospital records of who was staying in what room. And so I've tried a few times, and I don't know, I just wish I could tell her parents that her legacy lives on in me.
Oh, how beautiful. And so maybe we'll find her. We got to look for her parents. What city was she in?
I think it was Brantford, says the woman who was going in for third heart surgery, heavily drugged up. But, so I wrote this song called Stephanie 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And so when I release it in the next couple of years, I actually want to do a whole social media campaign telling the story, and hopefully it will go viral and someone say,
we'll find her.
That was my daughter that was in the hospital of March 21st of 1989. And she died between that March and that August, and it was an hour and a half drive, so
right.
I'm hoping that somehow or another that I can find this person's family. I want them to know what an impact her life has had on me.
Well, hopefully we'll find her, and I look forward to that song. So
yes, maybe I'll sing it at my show, which we're going to talk about later.
We'll talk about that later. But right now, I want to talk a little bit about some of your personal achievements. And I know one of your issues was you have lung structure damage.
So in one of the heart surgeries that I had, the blood had totally flowed into the lung, and the doctor said that your lung is damaged and all this kind of thing. So, wanting to be a singer, dancer, actor is certainly one of those really challenging things, because first I'm dealing with all this scar tissue. When you have massive heart surgery, they're literally cutting through bones and tissues and nerves and all these wonderful parts of your body. And I mean, it's a trauma to the body. And back in the day, 40 years ago, we didn't really talk about surgery as a trauma to the body. When we think of trauma in the past, we think of someone being, killed or assaulted or something, or a car accident. And so my body had been through a lot of trauma. So it was really interesting, because all I remember as a child is being in pain a lot, and just thinking that was normal, being in discomfort, even like sitting in the auditorium at school, being in discomfort, and the teacher saying, stop moving around, and I didn't know how to communicate and didn't know that this isn't normal, that a person's supposed to feel this way. And so my whole life has been living as an invisibly disabled or invisibly ill person. When in the time that we didn't talk about this, and we're only starting to talk about it now, is if I was blind, if I was deaf, if I was in a wheelchair, I would get the care that I needed. But nobody really knew about this, or if they did, they didn't talk to me about it. And so it's been a lifetime of me having to figure out how exactly do I reduce these pain levels? How exactly do I find a way to be in peace with my body when on my bad pain days, and my body is saying F you?
But you've done it, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. So you live in chronic pain. I get that.
It's so practically gone now from everything I've done.
Good. Knock on wood. But you taught. I want to get back to the singing because you taught yourself to sing with lung damage, and you've done musical comedy. You've done opera. You've done
Professionally, yeah.
Professionally.
Yeah. I've worked with Broadway performers. I've shared stages with Emmy winners.
So I want a little proof here. Could you do, I love when you sing, could you give us just a tiny piece of an aria?
Yes, I will. This is from Lascia che pianga, and it's from the Baroque era. And I will not tell that horrible joke. If it's Baroque, don't fix it. I just did. I'm so sorry.
All right.
And so, yeah, so it's a pant roll. So I'm actually a guy being in sorrow about, anyways. So lots of pant rolls in opera.
We'll go with it.
I'm just not wearing pants. Deal with it. Here we go.
You can sing.
I'm not bad.
Not bad. The lungs are working.
They're working, and I've learned how to breathe through the pain in my body, and it's just, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, all right, we're going to talk more, and you're going to be singing in the future, but we're going to get to that in a little bit. No, we're not going to move ahead yet.
No.
So, at first, I want to talk about your current mission. So, you are the CEO of Minerva Enterprises.
Yes.
And this is a company of professional speakers, right? You explain a little bit what you do.
Yeah, so we, in a nutshell, do presentation training to propel business growth.
Okay.
That's, in a nutshell, what we do.
Okay. But specifically for women, I know you said that there's an issue.
Yeah, big.
Big issue.
Big.
And this has happened in so many industries that you are now facing another industry where women don't have the opportunities that men have to do professional keynote speaking.
Exactly.
And when they do, they get paid a fraction of what men get paid. So what are you doing about it?
Yeah, so it's the statistics are staggering. I mean, the latest statistics from Gender Gap Pay last year, like the 2018, was that 71 or 73% of all keynotes, and the keynote levels are about $10,000 or more a pop. 71 or 73, I've got to look it up, is men.
Mm-hmm. Even at women's events.
Even at women's events, don't get me started on that. So it's a real issue because I've been in the speaking world. So in addition to performing, also a professional speaker for years and training other people on presentation. And so what's really interesting is that throughout my years, I can't even tell you how many conferences I have spoken at, and I'm the opening keynote. There's a male closing. We talk, and he's made more money than me, even though he's highly boring compared to me and doesn't have the same level of depth as my content. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I was thinking, am I not standing in my power? And so I start talking to other women and at my level, and they're like, no, Cindy, I'm always finding I'm getting paid less than the men. And I'm always finding at a lot of these women's events, all the breakouts are with women, and they're not getting paid because it's a marketing opportunity, and they get their big sponsors are insisting on their big men to come and speak for $10,000. So the whole industry pisses me off because there's so many brilliant women who need the opportunity and deserve that opportunity because they're phenomenal on stage and they're brilliant. And so we have launched something called the hashtag Our Voice 2 movement. Back in August, we launched it in Times Square. We had our big billboard.
You did, because I saw something on social media. I brought it with me.
Oh.
Does this look familiar, madam?
Oh, and there I am.
Here she is. Cindy
Women
Ashton.
Speak Out.
Times Square. It was the big billboard in Times Square.
Yeah. We launched it in Times Square. We got interviewed in Forbes magazine about it. We got splattered all over the media for a little while about it. But yeah, so we're really, as Minerva Enterprises, we're really, diversity and doing social good is 2 of our 8 values in our company. And we really felt like we want to, first of all, raise awareness to these people who are conference promoters and these sponsors that are insisting that their male keynotes are getting up there. And really drive the awareness. And we're not asking for a free ride. We're not asking for a free ticket. We're saying that there's a lot of qualified women out there. Can you give them an opportunity? Mm-hmm. And so we're really raising awareness, but we are also, as a company, training women to really build their speaking strategy in a way that they're seen as a top professional and can get booked more easily, as well as literally giving them the languaging to negotiate more pay, find the paying opportunities, and start to bridge that gap, because it's time for our voice too.
I love it. No, I think you're doing a great thing. Just
thank you.
Bringing awareness, right? It starts with awareness.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. And I know that you've said that women are leaders, women have power, but it's not just women who are in positions of authority, or with anyone, right? You don't have to be in authority to be a leader.
No, you don't. We all have power in us if we just trust that power.
If you believe in it, believe in yourself. I think you can spread that to others. And you told a story once, and I would love if you would just tell this, about a woman who...
Oh, don't tell the story. Don't tell...
No, this is just a lead-in.
Okay.
A woman who maybe she might not be the person you would think of as a leader, right? I would not walk down the street and say, oh, she's the CEO of whatever. This is a woman who would not necessarily be considered a leader, yet she can impact people. And
absolutely.
Tell me the story, because we need to hear it.
Okay, so as the story goes, hello viewers. So as the story goes, I was still living in Toronto, my hometown. I was still living in Toronto at the time, and I was flying from Toronto to San Diego to go on a cruise, and I was stopping in Chicago for a layover. And so, you know what it's like first thing in the morning, right? You're like getting off a flight at 7 a.m. and you're like drudging through the airport, and you're sleepy and you're tired, right? And so you're not really with it. And then you walk into the bathroom. And so I'm walking in the bathroom, and all I hear is, R-E-S-P-E-C-T, this is what it means to me. And I'm like, is somebody singing? Is somebody singing like full blast in the bathroom? R-E-S-P, and I'm like, okay, who is this person? And so I'm like peering around, and I'm starting to wake up, and I'm looking, and all I see coming out of the stall, and you and I are about to get fresh. She's got the scrubber. She's leaning back. Suck it to me, suck it to me, suck it to me, suck it to me. Woo! And she's like having a party of her own in this bathroom stall. And I'm like, hell yeah, now that's the way to be, right? So I'm like going to the toilet, and I'm sitting doing what I need to do. And I guess as she noticed that somebody had come in, because she goes, I hope you don't mind me singing. I guess she wasn't originally from Chicago. She must have been from Louisiana or something. I don't know American accents. Sorry, it's a Canadian thing. So this woman is sitting there, and she goes, I hope you don't mind me singing. And the other woman goes, no, I think everybody should sing. So all of a sudden, I hear both of them going, I'm leaving on a jet plane, don't know when I'll be back again. And they're singing, and I'm like, it's 7 o'clock in the morning in Chicago airport, and they're singing. Why are they singing? This is so weird. And then they just start singing, and then the stall on my left and the stall on my right starts singing along. I'm leaving on a jet plane. I'm like, okay, hold on a second. I'm the opera singer, a musical theater actress. Why aren't I singing? So I'm joining in. I'm leaving on a jet plane. And so we're going at it, like the whole bathroom is singing at 7 o'clock in the morning in Chicago. So I walked out. I walked in that morning like this, schlumpy, tired. I walked out like that. And I went to go get a hash brown. And the guy was kind of schlumpy that morning, and he was doing his hash brown. He was getting my hash brown. I'm like, hey, good morning. And all of a sudden, he felt my positive energy, and he totally lifted up. And then his positive energy went to the next customer, and that customer lifted up, and it became a ripple effect. And when I really thought about this moment, is what I realize is that every single one of us has the power to lead. Because essentially, how many people in that bathroom walk in and they're on their way to a funeral, or they're dealing with depression, or they're going through a hard time, you don't know what's going on, and suddenly go into this bathroom and all they hear is this joyous singing, and it lifts their spirits, and then it becomes a ripple effect.
So anyone can have impact.
Anyone can have impact. And what I loved about her is that she chose joy, because I don't know about you, but cleaning people's poop for a living is not my MO.
No.
You know, and I think about this woman who probably makes what, $15 an hour cleaning. Like, airports are disgusting. This isn't like the Hyatt. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the Ritz, people. And I just think about what a powerful woman that she is, that she probably doesn't have a lot of money. She's cleaning people's poop for a living. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. She probably had to take a horrible, scary Chicago subway to be there. And she chose to be in her power and lead by igniting her joy and making an impact. Because at this point, I've told this story so many times, probably have impacted tens of thousands of people because of this one person singing in the bathroom.
Because she sang.
Because she
I love
sang.
it. And you're right. Now the story has impacted so many, and it's going to keep spreading.
Another person I have
it's
to
fantastic.
find.
We'll stick with Stephanie's parents for now. But now I love it. I love that story, and that's why I thank you so much for telling it. It just goes to show the impact of anyone.
Yes.
Anyone.
A little smile.
A little, yeah, absolutely.
Creates an impact.
And now, speaking of the power of one.
Yes.
Let's talk about you again.
Okay.
So, you have your own organization, Minerva Enterprises.
Yep.
You are the singer, the actress. You've been awarded by the former president, by the Queen. You now have a one-woman show, which is going to be produced in New York.
Yep.
Can you give us a few details about that?
It's so crazy because when you live with an invisible condition, it's invisible and it's hard to get your voice heard, especially someone like me, because right now you're seeing me and I'm on and I'm excited and I'm vibrant. It is impossible for you to think that somebody like me has to do a lot of meditating and yoga twice a day and restrict certain types of foods that go in my body for me to be able to function and keep my pain levels down, amongst other things I do. And so in the past, multiple times I have advocated for myself, and I've either been called a drama queen, I'm making it up, you look fine, you're gonna get better, and I'm definitely a lot better than I was years ago, but it's still an everyday thing that I live with. And so as through the years, as I talk to other people and as I look at the statistics, 50% of Americans live with one chronic condition. 79% of Americans are living with chronic stress. 71% of Americans are living with one traumatic event they've been through. Everybody is living with stuff in their body, or we've been talking about mental illness a lot in the last few years, and the amount of sexual trauma that's been happening. All these are invisible things that we are dealing with. It's not just about illness. The story in the One Woman Show is about my journey through finding my voice when I'm voiceless and finding my voice when I'm invisible. But every single person has something in their life, whether it's a chronic condition or the trauma or something where they feel like they're invisible and they try to advocate, they try to get their voice out, and they're not heard. And so Liberate Your Voice, my One Woman Show that I'm writing right now and launching soon in New York City, I'm going to find a way to make it funny, because right now it's still very serious. The first layer of this is very serious. I'm going to make it funny, but it's a musical comedy about living with something invisible and liberating your voice and being heard and navigating a world where we don't celebrate ourselves when it's not seen, and how to get that out. So it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be moving. It's going to be touching and fun. And I'm sure I'll make it very hilarious. And I'll probably make it a little saucy in some places because it's just me.
I can't imagine you being saucy.
I know.
So now, so part of it's music, is part of it's storytelling?
Yeah, so part of it's music. So what I'm doing for this show is that I'm choosing really great Broadway and opera pieces, really not going to the opera realm, but mostly like jazz and Broadway pieces that fit the theme. So I'm basically building a story and then plucking out songs from different show tunes from different musicals, and building and repurposing what they mean in the context of liberating your voice.
I love it. And so this show, this is a one time, right?
It's a one-woman show.
One opportunity.
It is, but I think
now.
I have a feeling it's going to grow into something bigger, especially because I've actually been writing music.
Okay.
So I have a feeling eventually I might substitute some of it. Eventually I might tour it. I was writing an album a few years ago called Liberation. And it was all about liberating your voice.
Okay, but for a start, we have one opportunity to see this particular instance.
Yes.
Right? And can you just throw me a date when it's going to be?
January 14th at the Duplex Cabaret Club.
Oh, at the Cabaret, I like that.
Yes, it's a beautiful cabaret theater, grand piano. I might have to sprawl on it at some point.
Why does that not surprise me?
I know. I'm such a crazy person and I love it.
I love it. All right, so we're going to get back here a little bit to your one-woman movement. It was the 100-day program that you were doing.
Yes.
Are we still in the middle of this?
Yes, it's near the end. So It ends November 21st. But we're going to continue it. We're not going to be as aggressive in terms of every single day, but it is an ongoing conversation we're going to do where we have different influencers that we're going to be reaching out to and building over the next couple of years. So this 100 days was just to kick it off and start to have the conversations that need to be had. And then we're going to continue to work with other influencers in the media to get it out on a bigger level in the next couple of years.
And what's one piece of advice that you can give to a woman? You talk about being in your power. We have a few minutes left. What is your piece of advice to women about how to regain that power? Does it start with just believing in yourself and asking? What's the secret?
No, it starts with trusting yourself, but it's something deeper than that. Because I feel like so many women don't trust themselves, they don't trust their voice, and so they give away their power, they don't negotiate, they compromise, and they feel powerless. And I have been that woman many times in my life. And what's important is to learn to trust yourself. And what I mean by that is learn to really go deep in the body. Because from a scientific standpoint, let's talk about this. So when we are teaching at Minerva presentation training, a lot of training is like stand here, pose here, da-da-da, and that's very fake and it's not in your body. When you train as a professional actor, it's all about and an opera singer, it's all about getting the breath deep into your pelvic floor, connecting we have different nerves, which we don't have enough time to talk about, but for example, we've got our celiac nerves, which is where your second brain is, your emotional brain. When we learn how to breathe into these pieces, we start to actually access the science within us that has the knowing and connects us to ourselves and get grounded. So for example, right now I'm here and it's very hard for me to trust myself because I'm not really in my body. But when I drop down into my pelvic floor and I'm grounded, I can slow down, I can be present, I can be stable and confident, feel my power and trust it.
So it starts with trusting yourself.
And trusting
your gut.
Because we have so many messages coming at us. You need to look like this. You need to do this. But this is a great opportunity. This is a perfect way to go. And it's really about trusting your power. Just because something looks good doesn't mean it's right for you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I feel already more trusting of myself.
Good. I'm so glad.
Wonderful to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
I look forward to your one-woman show, and thank you so much for being the power that you are. Thank you, Cindy Ashton.
Thank you, Lee Hayes.